Lightning split the sky before dawn, jagged and sudden, illuminating the valley in stark white brilliance. The tribe lay huddled in their furs, frozen in shock and awe, as a deep rumble rolled across the plains like the heartbeat of the earth itself. Alla sat upright, her hair plastered to her face by the sudden storm, staring at the jagged cliffs beyond which a herd of mammoths thundered through the mist, their massive shapes gleaming in the fleeting light. The world had never felt so alive, so terrifying, so full of possibility. She gasped, and without knowing why, she let out a sharp, trembling sound, half scream, half exhale, and the nearest hunters turned their heads, their eyes wide in recognition. In that instant, Ayla understood something she had never thought possible. Her voice could reach beyond herself, could command attention, could carry meaning. The storm passed as quickly as it had arrived, leaving the plains wet and glittering under the first pale light of dawn. The mammoths disappeared into the distance, leaving behind their massive footprints and the scent of wildness in the air. Alla ran to her younger brother, who had been startled awake by the thunder, and repeated the strange, urgent sound. He mirrored it instinctively, unsure but fascinated. The thrill of connection, the realization that sound could bridge the gap between minds, sent shivers down her spine. It was the first spark, fragile yet powerful, that would ignite the fire of language. Over the next days, Ayla experimented tirelessly. She mimicked the hiss of the river, the rustle of the trees, the distant call of birds, shaping them into new noises that could communicate not only danger or food, but curiosity, emotion, and intent. She found the tribe reacting in subtle, astonishing ways. A hunter froze when she uttered a particular rising sound, understanding she had spotted a predator long before he had. Children laughed and attempted to replicate her bursts of tone, their excitement spilling into the camp. Even the elders, who rarely left their quiet observation, began to mimic the sounds, tentative but intrigued. Each repetition, each echo was a step towards something larger than survival. It was the first dance of shared understanding. One afternoon, as the sun broke through low clouds, Alla led the children to a grove by the river. She cupped her hands, shaping her breath into a series of sounds that rose and fell like the river itself. The children watched, wide-eyed, then attempted to echo her tones. Laughter rang out, full and unguarded, bouncing between the trees, carrying further than any gesture ever could. Alla's heart swelled. These sounds were no longer her own. They had become theirs, shared, repeated, and transformed. She realized the first gift of language was not control, not command. It was connection, the weaving together of minds, the birth of empathy through sound. But with discovery came danger. While the tribe hunted a distant herd of deer, Alla's sharp new call warned them of wolves approaching from the ridge. The hunters froze at first, uncertain of the strange noises, but the urgency in her voice left no doubt. They spread out, coordinating silently through her sounds, and managed to drive the wolves off without casualties. When Karl, the tribe's fiercest hunter, approached her afterward, his eyes wide with awe, he muttered, "Your voice, it saves us." It was a sentence not yet possible in words, but in meaning it was clear. Alla had become not only a protector through action, but a guide through sound, shaping understanding without gesture or threat. Night fell, stars sparkling cold above the frozen valley. Alla sat by the fire, teaching the children a series of rising hums and sharp clicks, while the elders repeated the patterns slowly, carefully. Every night, her voice became more confident, more deliberate, more expressive. She discovered subtle tones that could convey caution, encouragement, or playfulness. The children responded instinctively, imitating her with wide-eyed delight. Even Kale experimented, grunting and mimicking her shapes of breath, and the tribe began to respond to one another through these sounds, predicting movements, warning each other, and expressing concern, all without a single conventional word. A new consciousness was awakening, carried not by gestures or brute strength, but by the delicate, trembling magic of voice. Winter came, relentless and cold. Hunger sharpened the mind, frost hardened muscles, and yet the tribe's survival improved. The sounds Alla had taught became their lifeline, signals for movement, alerts for danger, calls for food. Once, during a blizzard, a child wandered into the white haze and began to cry. Alla's voice, a sharp, urgent sequence of tones carried over the roar of the wind. Hunters responded immediately, following her sound to rescue the child. It was the first time the tribe had experienced rescue through language alone. Allah's heart raced with pride and awe. She had done more than communicate. She had shaped life itself. By spring, the tribe had become something extraordinary. No longer merely individuals surviving in harsh wilderness, they had become a community of thought. Sounds carried emotion, memory, and instruction. Children could warn of danger. Hunters could coordinate hunts with silent cues, and elders could convey lessons of survival and morality, all through carefully shaped tones. Allah watched from the riverbank as her brother mimicked her sequences, laughing with delight, and she realized something remarkable. She had not just discovered a new way to speak, she had discovered the first true connection between minds. The culmination came when the tribe faced a sudden threat, a stampede of mammoths fleeing unseen predators across the valley. Chaos erupted, fires flared from overturned torches, children screamed, and hunters were scattered. Allah rose, heart hammering, and unleashed a complex string of sounds, rising, falling, urgent, commanding. The tribe responded immediately, moving in synchrony, rescuing children, guiding hunters, and avoiding the deadly beasts. When the dust settled, no life was lost. The hunters stared at her, wide-eyed, and for the first time, the tribe understood. Survival alone was no longer enough. Language, connection, and shared understanding had become their true protection. As the sun set in crimson and gold, Allah stood on a ridge overlooking the valley. Her voice carried across the plains, soft and melodious, experimenting with new tones that no one else could yet replicate. Below, the tribe echoed her sounds imperfectly, joyfully, desperately, learning and imitating. The first language had been born, not in words, not in stone, not in gesture, but in breath, in sound, in shared understanding. Allah realized that every hum, click, and burst of air could hold meaning, preserve memory, and bind people together. In that moment, she felt the pulse of humanity itself, fragile, new, and miraculous. The valley grew quiet as night fell. Allah's brother, now confident in his mimicry, ran to her, laughing, and she joined him with a soft rising tone, the sound carrying through the crisp air like a promise. The elders listened, nodding faintly, their faces reflecting the awe of understanding. Even Kale, silent and steadfast, allowed himself a small smile. Language had changed them all. It had given them not only survival, but empathy, memory, and hope. And as Allah let her final tones rise into the sky, she knew that this moment, the first connection, the first shared thought, would echo through generations, shaping the world in ways yet unseen.